to your point, we knew going in that there's that 40 to 50% more mentally and physically you can do it's in your tank than you think. So when our mind was saying we're done, like our legs are done, we're tired, we're just exhausted, we had to get down in that pit and that dig deep mentality to get that extra 40, 50% more we knew we had.
Welcome to the Crowded Table. This is a place where people can experience grace, mercy, and healing. It's a place where the community can experience what it means to actually feel valued and to be accepted, and a place to grow personally. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 76 and Cactus, 76TH and Cactus. Our Instagram is the same, 76 and Cactus. Well, no further ado, welcome to the table.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. It has been a hot minute since we've recorded. However, we have accomplished some things. We have did some traveling, but our latest travel, which was out to Moab, to Arches, was a really good one. And we accomplished something that we set out to do as a bucket list item, and that was to run an ultra marathon, which I'll let you describe the definition of an ultra marathon.
An ultra marathon is anything over the marathon distance, which is 26.2 miles. So anything over 26.2 miles is categorized as an ultra marathon.
And a week ago we did that, and so we were out there at Arches, and we did the Arches 50K, and it took us a little over 9 hours, but we did accomplish. Um, I guess what if you had to have a takeaway, like one takeaway from that race, from that experience? What would that one for you? What would that one experience or that one takeaway be?
I think first people might want to know how far is it 50K.
Okay,
Because when you see the number 50, some people were immediately think 50 miles. They don't pay attention to maybe the K part, and K would be kilometers. So a 50K is 31, a little bit over 31 miles. So we did 31 miles.
Very well. To classify,
So
to clarify.
to clarify.
Yeah.
So the question was, what is a takeaway from our 50K? And I think that takeaway is we can do far more than we think we can. Um, and there were moments where on that path, I think we both at some point were like, I don't know, can we finish this? Because we hit some challenges, some unexpected things, some things we did not prepare for. Um, but there are a lot of positive things that came from it. And like Eric said, we did accomplish the goal that we set. The goal was to finish. We did not really set a time, though we had maybe in our mind what we thought we might could do it in based on our training and stuff like that. But again, we live on the East Coast. This was on the West Coast.
Yeah, and I think also to clarify, clarify, this was, I would say, 5/8, 3/4 of the run was in sand. And for anybody down south, think of Destin Beach, Gulf Shores Beach, that kind of just thick sand.
Not by the water. like up by
Yeah,
the street
yeah,
sand.
yeah,
Real loose, not compact at all.
yeah, like what you walk on to get down to the beach sometimes, per se. We were not anticipating that in any of our training or leading leading up to. And that was a little difficult. And it really was the curveball, I would say, in that race, in that experience. It's funny because I was doing a podcast with Andy a few days before we went out, and I was telling him that there's always a curveball in these races, and I said I don't know what that curveball is going to be. Well, the curveball for us was that sand because our feet, our legs had not trained on that. It was a lot of uphills on that trail. But to your point, we knew going in that we that there's that 40 to 50% more mentally and physically you can do it's in your tank than you think. So when our mind was saying we're done, like our legs are done, we're tired, um, we're just exhausted, we had to get down in that pit and that dig deep mentality to get that extra 40, 50% more we knew we had. I think my takeaway was how we like you have to you have to have people in your life to do these hard things. I had to rely upon you in moments of the race to help push me to get me through. There are moments you had to kind of have my help, so you can get through. You might have threw little temper tantrums,
I did.
uh, hit the sand,
I did.
lay on your back and flop around.
I
Uh,
did.
but we can walk away and saying we did complete that. Um, and so, anyone who's listening, you and I were talking about this earlier. If you're listening to this and maybe there's something that you want to do or that might be on your bucket list or might be a big goal, but you are wondering, well, can I really do it? And it may be I don't have the money. It could be I don't have the time or I'm not in shape or I'm not in the right mindset. Jeannie and I really want to come alongside and say, you can do more than you think. You can do more than what might even look like on paper. And so we just want to say, keep going, keep stretching, keep digging. But really, what what inspired this podcast, and I'll let you kind of lead into this, but we saw a mural downtown Moab walking, and we saw that on this little walking trail, and I was like, oh my goodness, that just, and this was like the next day after our race. It was the next day after this running 31 miles. I see these words, I see this picture, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is our next podcast. This is hope. This is maybe brings light. It can bring some encouragement to others. And so I really just wanted, Jeannie to kind of, say what that mural is and kind of what we're here for today.
Well, this this was we saw this mural on Sunday after
After the race,
after we had run the race. I woke up and I was like, Eric, we can't not just sit here today. Like we're gonna have to move our body
we might have woke up a
forever.
little stove up.
It's like we're gonna have to move our body, or it's not gonna feel good in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we took
And you were right,
I
Bob.
think like doing the 50K or whatever, like tracking steps because it's Walktober, which is a fun competition
For your
that
school system.
that we do in my school system. And so, I keep up with my steps. And I think that day, like the race, before the race, few steps after the race,
Right.
we got we got about around
Yeah.
68,000 steps. And so on Sunday, I was like, we've got to move. Like, I know our legs are tired, I know that our body is tired, but we got to move. Get that lactic acid flushed out. Like, we got to move so that we don't like get as sore as we could. And so we took on Sunday over 20,000
Oh
steps
yeah,
that day.
I think almost 25.
Yeah,
25,000.
20,000 steps. So we
Which is
didn't
about
just we just didn't sit around.
which is
So
about 10 miles. Like
yes.
if you think about it, all in it was about 10 miles.
So we started walking and we're like, we're gonna walk to breakfast. And as we're walking over this bridge, I look down and there's this mural painted on the wall and it says, at the of the day, end of the day, we can do we can endure much more um, than we think we can. So at the end of the day, we can endure much more than we think we can. And that's Frida Kahlo.
Sure, it is today. It is today. Frida, thank you.
So, and it was just a like kind of reminder of the day before because there were moments where we were like, I don't know if I can endure any more sand or another hill or this heat. Like we had multiple, aid stations that we could like um stop at and get hydrated, grab a snack, whatever, but in probably one of the most secluded areas, um, because it's secluded, there was an unmanned water station, and when we got there, there was no water.
Yeah, and that was really that was at mile 18. But that was I remember for me specifically, that was really hard because my water, I think I'd been out for like 3 miles, I mean, at least 2.5. I was done. I was just parched, and there was enough to kind of rinse my mouth out per se, but that was hard. I know for me that was a hard part, you know, during the race, and then thank goodness there was another aid station, 2 or 3 miles up the trail, but that was a hard.
But I
Hard.
think I think one thing to like help you picture how hard it was is you might get to these aid stations where people are working them and because people are working them, the water's fresh. It's it has some like ice in it
A
to
little,
kind of like
cold, a little cold.
make it cool. But the heat that day, they were experiencing like a heat wave
Yeah.
that it didn't matter the fact that you were putting cold water into your water bottle. Within 5 minutes, that water was blue.
Yeah, I mean,
Like it was like when you drank it, you were drinking hot water.
yeah, I think it was like 90 that day, and no shade. I mean, we're out in literally the desert, no shade, sun beating down. We were running with hand squeeze, like you know, hand bottles. So to Jeannie's point, even though we could put pretty chilly water in our bottles, just being on our hand and being out in the sun, it would get hot really quick. So that was a hard part of the race. Um, but I will say we saw that mural and it was saying, you can endure much more than you think you can. And how, but I think just how amazing it was. We saw that the day after. Like we read that and went, oh my gosh, that is really true. We can do, we did more than we thought we could ever endure. And that's what we immediately thought about you guys, our podcast family, that you too, you can endure. And I don't know what that means for everybody, right? Everybody's what that means for you is different for us. But you can endure, you can go through way, way, way more than you ever imagined. And
But you don't just do that alone.
you're right. You got to
Like
have,
we had each other or whatever, but you gotta have community. You've got to have people who rally around you and encourage you and spur you on because I mean, as we were preparing for this and we're telling people and we're telling our community like what gave us energy like as it got closer and closer and we got more nervous and more nervous about it because it's something that we had never done before.
Paul, we've done marathons, but road, oh,
But this is longer than marathon.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we
So
just
this is
never,
a longer distance than we've ever done.
right, right. But I'm saying we've done, longer, long distance to some people, but never an ultra marathon, nothing over a marathon
But the difference in a marathon that we've done before is you have people lining the street,
cheering.
yelling
Yeah,
your name, cheering for you, even if you know them or you don't know them.
we didn't have
In
that.
this, you have to be okay with being alone,
Yeah, yeah.
but you can't do it. I couldn't have finished if I was by myself.
Yeah, there's no way I could have either. So great. I mean, yes, to your point, we got to have that community to endure those hard things. Um, and well, I mean, what does to us, what does community mean, I guess, to us?
I feel like community to us is a constant being in constant communication, being constant presence, um, being in constant thought of those that mean something to us. Like we may have met somebody somewhere, or we may do things with people at set times, which initiated maybe the community, like the connection with the community comes after the connection. You made the connection with people. The community is day in and day out, knowing the highs and the lows, coming alongside when one person's at a low, but another person might be at a high, or coming along somebody at their high, but when they go to their low, you're still there. You're still there too. You know when they had a bad day. You know when they're struggling. You know how you can support them because without them even saying what they're going through. Like you can just sense what somebody needs when you're in community because you know them. You truly know them and you truly care about every aspect of their life.
I'm going through in a third C, my pastoral stuff coming out. Talk about that connection first, and then that community. But I think there's a commitment. Like you're committing. I'm here for you. And
Not when I just want you to do something for me.
right, right. And I had that. You know about this. I mean, last week I was at a friend's house. Matter of fact, he uh, is on a mission trip to India. This week, and so there were some of us guys out there around his fire pit. Praying over him and just encouraging him. But during that time uh, of us being with him, I got a text from a couple of my guys that are dear, dear friends of mine. And I mean, we're all dear friends. But one of them said, "Hey, I've got to talk to you guys right now." And I'm in the middle of, my time with these men. I'm like, "Hey guys, I've got a couple of guys that need me right now. I got to hop on a FaceTime." And we did. We hopped on FaceTime, and one of my dear friends and it was a praise. It was just this good, you won't believe what just happened, moment. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like, "Hey, I'm stuck and I need you to pick me up." It was this praise report, but it was a really big praise report. And
I well, I think we talked about earlier today when we were on a walk that you know, we feel that more than ever people are so busy.
Mm.
Like, do I have a lot of stuff that I have my hand in and that I do? Yes, Eric is very involved in different things, but community is when it doesn't matter what's going on. If someone needs you, you're able to be like, you know, this is important for my community. Um, I had a dear friend pass away. And we were talking about, this is fall break. Like for me, like if we were going out of town, I really think that I would have delayed my trip in order to go to this funeral because that is being in community. That is supporting people.
And it,
That's putting my agenda to the side to support somebody that I know needs someone to help lift them up, like hold them up right now
yeah.
when they feel like they can't stand. And you only get you only get the opportunity to go to someone's funeral once.
And you just said something that, it means sometimes we have to put aside our schedules or what we're doing to be a part of somebody that needs us. And I know that can be hard and can be difficult, but that's part of that commitment. That's part of that. Hey, if I've got to stop what I'm doing, delay a trip, postpone a trip or whatever to help, or hop on a plane, get in a car, and go to that person who might need you.
Right.
That's what we have to do. That's what we feel community is.
And that's what we strive to do here in our neighborhood, here like within the spaces that we work, the people that we do life with outside of our neighborhood. But like last night, we were like, oh my God, the weather feels so great. I think we should have a fire. So like we had set up, kind of like little setup to like watch football and just have like a fire and it just be the two of us or whatever.
Because we really haven't been home in a while.
No, so for just be the two of us to just chill or whatever, and
That didn't last.
not 5 minutes. We had a neighbor walk up with his guitar, and he just really wanted to play it for us or whatever. And so, did that totally debunk our plans? It did. Did we want to watch football? Did we just want to sit by the fire? Did we just want to chill? Yeah. But he needed just someone to sit there and make him feel like he had value.
Yeah, and that cost us nothing. That cost us no dollars. But did it interrupt us? Yes. But we look back now and go, who knows that time we spent with him? Who knows how that will impact him a day from now, 2 days from now, a week from now? I have no idea. That could be the biggest impact that he's going to have in a while. And so,
But that's community.
yeah,
Being available,
yeah,
showing up, even when it's
uncomfortable.
yes, uncomfortable or not part of what you wanted to do today.
Yeah, which I know God's working on my heart. That's one of the things He's working on my heart is that it's not my schedule, it's not my time, it's His, and that does mean getting uncomfortable with that. Well, we really just wanted this podcast to be about encouraging, uplifting that you can do more than you thought. You can endure more than you thought, and and then coming off of our experience, we realized that is true. But to to get through that difficult, to get through that hard season, maybe you've got to plug into community. You've got to gather around people who love you, who support you, and want to make sure that you're always taken care of. So we just want to encourage people. If you don't have that, just start reaching out. Like just ask God to give you those people. But you're going to have to have those around you to get through
Those
hard
people
times.
who reciprocate.
Yes,
There's people who they'll do the same thing for you
that's right. That's right.
when
When those hard times come.
yeah,
Highs and lows. I mean, that'll
right.
celebrate with you and they will cry with you. It's that they'll be there for both highs and lows.
Do you think that community has to be face to face?
Mm, No, I mean, I know you and I are face to face people. I prefer face to face. I prefer coffees and lunches and around the fire pit. But if it is like you just can't do it, get on FaceTime. FaceTime, do something where you can see their face. Yes, picking up a phone, making a phone call or text is good, but face to face, like just being able to see your face, there's something about that.
Well, they also need to hear your voice and hear the
Yes.
tone, whatever. A lot can be lost in the connection through just typing
Text,
words.
yes. And again, I know that sometimes that's all we have, or it's really the moment. But if you can get face to face in person, 100%, second best is FaceTime or something that can see your face, hear your voice. And then if it's like in a pinch, all you've got is a text or a phone call. I would say that would become my last resort for that. But face to face in person is the best way. And to your point, there's that tone. You can see their eyes, you can see their smile, you can see their tears if need be. But uh, there's nothing to be lost in translation with what's being said.
Well, and I think that's the heart behind even starting this podcast in the beginning, the crowded table, like being around the table, being in person
Yeah.
with people, being able to look into their eyes, hear their stories coming straight from their mouth, and be able to, for them to see your support,
Yeah.
your empathy, your compassion.
Because I mean, what happened around the fire pit last night with our neighbor? You can't do that over text. You can do that over a phone call. That
Right.
was just an in person, being available, being disrupted. Um, but you can't do that over a phone call. So with that, so we want to leave you guys with just that. You can do more, but you got to do it with your community and people that love you, and it's reciprocal. And try to do face to face. Try to circle up and do that together. So until next time, we just want to say we love you and so thankful to be able to bring this to you.